Political theater once again playing out on Capitol Hill. It wasn't a sit-in this time, but nearly a dozen Democrats joining forces on the House floor trying to force the GOP leadership to call a vote on gun control legislation. Costly political games because the real-life drama continues on the streets of Chicago and San Bernardino. Victims left defenseless against gangs and criminals who have no problem getting their guns despite some of the strictest gun laws in the country. As Sheriff Sam Page of Rockingham County, North Carolina, and Sheriff Tom Hodgson of Bristol County, Massachusetts told me, quit the politics in your failed agendas, start enforcing the laws already in the books, prosecute criminals, and face the fact that our security here at home starts with the Second Amendment. Take a look.
I scratch my head every day and wonder, how do we get here? This is not the America that I grew up in. We have become a politically correct nation, this agenda that is as liberal can be. For them to sit on the floor of the Congress, I think, is absolutely pathetic. And it's exactly what the American people are fed up with.
They're calling on the leadership of the House to bring common sense gun control legislation to the House floor.
It's crazy. Every time there's an incident, from Orlando, Sandy Hook, Aurora, the answer in Washington, the president, is more gun control makes us safer.
Reinstate the assault weapons ban. Make it harder for terrorists to use these weapons to kill us.
I've been in law enforcement more than 34 years in my state. And disarming citizens is not the right answer, because what you're going to do is you're going to create more victims and more victimization in America.
I don't think most Americans today feel safe. No matter what they do, look at the gun-free zones. Look at the violence in Chicago.
Where are the gun laws? So you have comprehensive background checks.
All the legislation in the world will not take the problem away. You could walk down the streets of New Bedford, Massachusetts, and ask somebody if you could get a hold of a handgun, and with 5 or 10 minutes, they could probably get you one.
You don't penalize the law-abiding citizens and make it safer. You penalize the offender.
What I'm saying is that the federal government is complicit in the increase in crime in this country. They would like to take away the rights of legal gun owners to own guns, and under the guise that somehow we're the problem, and that the bad guys who are coming across the border, their rights are increased because they came in here illegally and still have the opportunity to commit more crimes. The sanctuary city makes absolutely no sense. It's as moronic as it gets.
North Carolina is #2 in drug trafficking routes, according to the DEA. 13 persons that came to our county since 2010 to the present, 2016, have returned, have been deported, and come back and ended up in the jail again.
And under the priority enforcement program that replaced secure communities under the Obama administration, you cannot be considered for deportation until you're not arrested 3 times, convicted on 3 separate incidents of misdemeanor crimes. If you're telling me, after somebody committed a misdemeanor, that they get to go off into the sunset and threaten more people than you're making me party to violating federal law, and I'm not going to do it.
You believe that border security and the ability to defend ourselves with the Second Amendment are one and the same?
I think they go hand in hand. Border security, Homeland security begins at home, keyword. We have a short memory. It's a very tragic situation that happened in Orlando. But if someone had a firearm, been licensed to carry concealed, they may have been able to change history that day. I truly believe that when you create gun-free zones, you create free fire zones.
There's no question that armed citizens will make a difference. We can't possibly, in law enforcement, we can't be everywhere. We need the help of our citizens to be armed, to be able to step in a movie theater, in a restaurant, and taking away the rights for us to do that only make the criminals more empowered to bring harm to other people.
It's not when they come, they're here. It can happen anywhere. Terrorism is in America.
They're not telling the truth. As I've often referred to, the Wizard of Oz theory. Don't worry what's behind that curtain. You don't need to look back there. That's where the truth is.
Perhaps the media would do us all a service if they didn't cover it quite as much. People wouldn't know what's going on.
We're in trouble. If you can't admit what your threat is, the American people will be at further risk than they already are. We had the Boston Marathon bombing. One of the Zarnea brothers lived not even a quarter mile from where my home is. Went to my daughter's hairdressing salon. So we need to be able to be armed because those people are in our neighborhoods. They're in our neighborhoods.
If it's not politicians, It's billionaires like Michael Bloomberg continuously working to erode our freedoms. Where are we headed?
Our nation will fail.
Because you can't have a democracy. You can't have your individual freedoms if you aren't safe.
If we believe in America and our future, we've got to get up and vote this November.
It's time for us to make a choice, to demand that our constitutional rights not be diminished or eliminated, and demand that the people that represent us either do the job or get them out. And that's why you're seeing sheriffs across this country mobilize right now in defense of the Second Amendment, in defense of our Constitution, in support of Donald Trump, to get America back on track again.
He believes in securing our borders. He believes in your Second Amendment protections. He supports law enforcement. He wants us to be safe. I don't think he believes in hugging terrorists.
So for us, no, we can't get behind somebody like Hillary Clinton. She's clearly aligned herself through this election with President Obama. This is just a continuation of an agenda that has caused America to spiral downward.
Here again, the Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment, and I am going to make that case every chance I get. So I will need your help on that.
What's at stake if Hillary Clinton gets in office is that we would see a justice on the Supreme Court or more that had very liberal views.
I think you're going to see a further erosion of our constitutional protections and our rights that we've known over the years as we've grown up.
Everyone needs to understand that their vote matters and that we can no longer let a government, a rogue government, take us off into some specialized agenda that only benefits them.
Every vote counts. Every voice counts in America. And we've got to stand up, and now is the time that if we don't fight for our rights and our protections, we will lose them.